Yo, what's good, Spare in the building? Thanks for tuning in to Kueen Talk, everyone. Today's special guest is Hector Rivas.
Yeah. That's right.
Were you expecting me to get it wrong?
I actually kind of was. Usually people get it wrong.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody, please?
Yes. So my name is Hector. I'm 25. I am Latino. I am a bisexual man, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
That was so bad.
So where are you from, though?
I am from Los Angeles, California. I was born in '98. Moved over here to Wichita. I believe I was 6.
Okay.
So I believe it was around 2004, maybe 2005. Moved here for family, and it was cheaper to live here. So, yeah.
So did you move by yourself, or you moved with like your whole family came down?
Yeah, my whole family, my dad, my mom, and it was just me. I was an only child back then.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you're the oldest son?
I'm actually not the oldest. The oldest is my brother. His name is Urfran, and he lives in Guatemala, and he is 28.
Okay, nice. So you said you moved to Wichita just because you had family here in Wichita?
Yeah, all of our family was here. We were kind of just over there in California alone, and it was just so expensive. I think my mom said that our rent was around, I kid you not, I think she said like $1,500, and it was a single bedroom apartment, super small. So it was just too expensive to live over there.
Yeah, the fact that was that price in 2004 and 5. That's like doubled or tripled right now.
Yeah, and that's wild.
Yes, it is. So what was your life like growing up here in Wichita?
So my life growing up was kind of okay, I would say, as normal as it could be, I would say. I was a only child, like I said, back then. But in the neighborhood that I grew up in called Plainview, we actually had all my cousins living there with us.
Nice.
Basically around the area. It was like walking distance. So I had a pretty normal childhood, I would say. Of course, there's those bumps and those, but pretty good, I would say.
Nice. So did you see like a lot of Hispanic people growing up in Wichita? Were you like around, like besides your family, like was it a big community here in Wichita?
Yes, I would say it was pretty big because in Plainview, it's actually the majority is Hispanic.
Okay.
All the kids that are around in Plainview actually go to Colvin Elementary, and we all grew up together, and we were all just, I don't know, just populated by Hispanics. So
yeah,
everyone spoke Spanish, which was pretty good for me because it's all I spoke back then.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nice. So was there anybody that identified as LGBTQ in your family?
In my family, no. Not that I was aware of at the time. For my family and my other family, like, because you have your direct family, then you have like kind of your indirect family. It was kind of frowned upon to be queer or a part of the LGBT Q plus. So, not to my knowledge, I don't think so. No.
What things did you see or hear growing up that made you aware that it wasn't okay in that community?
It was kind of my dad. So my dad was kind of this whole macho man kind of man, and he would always say like, none of my kids are gonna walk funny. And when he said that, that meant like none of them are going to be bi or gay or queer in any way. And so that was kind of like a huge tell of like, oh, it's not okay for me to do that or for me to be that. So yeah, kind of, I would say my dad.
Okay. So what gave you the courage? When did you come out?
So I came out, and it's kind of funny because I actually knew that I was bisexual at a young age. Or at least I knew I was attracted to men. I think I was about 22. So it was literally just like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so I came out actually through social media, like everybody else does. It was kind of the trend back then, but I just felt like I was ready. I was just living too much of a lie kind of thing, and I was just ready to just be myself and accept myself for who I was.
Yeah.
Or who I am, sorry. But yeah.
So when you heard like your dad's remarks, did you feel different, like younger? What's like your earliest memory? What is your earliest memory of you knowing that you liked men or boys?
I honestly want to say it's kind of like the most basic I knew I liked men's stories, which is like going to Walmart and seeing the underwear. Like the men wearing the underwear. And I feel like everyone says that, or it's like the men in the magazines, or in like the football games, or whatever. But I remember going to Walmart and being like, "Mom, I need new underwear," even though I didn't need it. Yeah. I just wanted to go look at the guys. So it was just that's when I knew that I did like men as well. As well as I think I was maybe 12 when I got my very first crush on a guy. Okay. And it was at school, and I was like, "Well, that's kind of different." But it kind of also helped me realize that maybe I am. Maybe I do like, maybe I do like men. But yeah.
So at 12 was your earliest memory of having a crush on a boy, and 22 was when you openly said it. So at 12 and between 12 and 22, was there a time that you were acting on those feelings at all?
Of course, yeah. I mean, as soon as I turned 18, I remember downloading Grindr, of course, like every other guy, and I remember going on dates with guys, but being like, you can't tell anyone. Yeah. Like, no one can find out about me and you going on this date or, whatever. And I also grew up in a very Christian home back then as well. And so I remember that going to church and having a youth pastor that also liked men, but we weren't able to talk about it, and we weren't able to act upon it. And so, I think that's when I was acting upon it, I guess.
So your youth pastor was openly into men, or was this like a rumor around town type thing?
So it was a rumor around town kind of thing, until one day he just told me.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he told me because he also figured out that I was as well.
Okay.
I mean, because I feel like, for myself, I can't speak for others, but I had really big tails of like me liking men as well. And like how everyone would stereotype men that were queer, and I would do some of those things, and so people would just assume that I was. And so I think that's where it came from. Sorry, I forgot the question.
No. So I was just wondering, like, your youth pastor openly came to you and said,
yes.
At what age were you in this?
I want to say I was 19. Okay. I want to say we met at Donut Hole. Okay. And then he told me about it, and so yeah, that's when I started wondering about myself even more too, because me growing up in a Christian home, being like that's frowned upon, you can't do that, and then finding out that the person that I'm supposed to look up to was also queer, and so that also kind of gave me a little bit of small courage as to like maybe it's time for me to do something about it. Right. So yeah.
Do you think your coming out has impacted your relationship with God or religion?
I will say I don't really practice anymore because I do believe that it puts such a negative like feeling towards it for me to have a relationship with God. I will say I do believe in something. I don't know what I believe in though at the moment. So in a way, yeah, kind of did.
So you would say. So you aren't practicing faith or anything like that anymore? Like, yeah. Do you feel like once you came out, you just immediately said, why do you feel like it personally? Is it the outside that impacts you, or do you have those beliefs within yourself, like you're not wanted by God?
I think it happened. I think it kind of is like the second thing you said of like not being wanted by God, because growing up in a congregation where even if anyone had a little like idea of you being queer or gay or whatever, it really made everyone kind of distance themselves from you and not really want to talk to you or hang out with you or whatever. And so I feel like it did really make me feel like God just didn't want me anymore, because it felt like if they don't want me and they're supposed to be living this holy life of like acceptance and love, but they're not giving me that, it made me feel like God must not want me to then.
Yeah.
You know?
I had that feeling too. Like, I do believe in God, and I'm a Christian, and I've been going back to church regularly this year, and I did have like a strained relationship too, just like feeling that way, like, man, why am I like this? Am I not supposed to be like this? But then just like building my own relationship with God, and no, He loves me. Like there's hate all over this world, but I just felt like for me personally, like, you're not gonna make me not believe in God or steer my path away just because of your hatred. Yeah. So that's sense. Yeah. It has been like really hard to navigate too. Just because even like the church I go to, I don't really know if they accept who I am. But I enjoy like the word and the message at this church. But that topic hasn't come up thus far. Okay. But we'll see down the road though. But it is difficult just like finding a place too though within that, navigating it. Yeah. Well, you said that your youth pastor. You also said that you're bisexual. So you came out as bisexual at 22. Yeah. And social media, what did that look like? Was it you just like wrote a Facebook status or?
I did so funny thing is, supposedly my dad still doesn't know. I never told him.
Right, as of today,
today, he doesn't know. Yeah. Because he said some ill things about, like I said, if one of his kids were gay or bi or whatever, that he would do some horrid things. And so I have never been given the opportunity to actually tell him. And so when I actually came out, I had to block half of the family on all my social media. Like half of my cousins, half of my aunts, half of my uncles, half of my everything. Because I knew that if I, in a sense, protected myself from them, that he would not find out. And to this day, I mean, he still hasn't found out.
You really think he doesn't know though?
Well, that's the thing though. Like, I feel like everyone knows, but because whenever I came out, everyone was like, "I knew it," and I'm like, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm pretty sure like he knows. He must know. I mean, I never brought a girlfriend around until I was like 22. I never talked about girls really either. Because I'm not like him where he's just like, oh, look at her, look at her cleavage, look at her ass, Yeah. Can I say that? Yeah, you. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I should have. Yes.
You know what I mean? So
PG-13. PG-13.
Yeah, okay. So like, I never really did that as those macho men should do.
I wouldn't say should do.
I mean
do. Yes. That they do,
yes,
but
yes,
some are a little excessive. Some are a little excessive.
Yes,
but are you that way towards men? Do you like?
Oh, so since I was hiding myself from everyone for the world, I have been known to be a little bit out of pocket when it comes to that. Because it's like I hid myself for so long. Like I'm not gonna hide my feelings or my thoughts anymore. I'm gonna be a very outgoing person, except for my dad part, of course. Yeah. But yeah, I would say I do sometimes.
So back to the status. So you blocked half of your family on the social media, and the status was like what?
It was basically like, hey, I think it's time for me to just finally put all the rumors to rest. The reason why I said that is because growing up all the way through elementary, middle, and high school, I actually grew up with the exact same people. Because like I said, we all grew up in Plainview. Our base school was Colvin. Our next school was actually Jardine, but I ended up going to a different school because I wanted to branch out kind of thing. And then high school, I mean, I saw all of them again. So it was like, dang, like I meant to like kind of bypass you guys and like start something new, but here I am back at like the start in a sense. Yeah. So it was just like, hey, it's time for me to just finally put all of it to rest. I didn't want to say this until I was pretty sure of myself, which I will say from the age of 16 to when I came out at 22, I still was uncertain. I still was like trying to pray the gay away kind of thing. And so I struggled with that for a while. So I finally said, it's time for me to just accept who I am. I know who I am and I love who I am as well. And so all I said is, I don't owe this to anyone. I feel like no one should be, how to explain it? Like the only benefit is me finally being able to be me. And nobody else should benefit from this. And so I just want to say that I am bisexual. I've known for a while now, I feel like, but I haven't been able to actually put it into words or actually talk about it openly. But I think it's time for me to just be myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So being bisexual, do you feel like it's hard for you? Like, have you tried to date women?
Oh gosh, it's so hard because I feel like men don't want to date. Men are kind of more of like, I want an open relationship or something casual, which is great, which is fine. It's just not my cup of tea kind of thing. I'm more of a, when I'm invested in you, I'm invested in just you. You know.
Yeah.
No shade to any poly people, you know.
Yeah.
But
you like what you like.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna like yuck your yum, you know, as much as I hope you don't do it to me either. But also dating men that believe or that I tell I am bisexual are always like, that's not a thing. Like most of the men have been like that. They're like, it's not a thing. You just like guys.
Yeah. And
same thing with girls. With girls, it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, just want to let you know, like, I am bisexual, blah, blah, whatever. They're like, oh, so you sleep with men. Like, I don't want that. You know? And so they kind of feel like, or it kind of seems like they're kind of fearing of it. And so it has been a little bit hard to be able to date men or women. But yeah.
So how do you navigate those relationships? Personally, for me, like, I've kind of been on the opposition of that too. Like, I identify as lesbian, so like, but I only seem to find myself with women that have only been with men, and I'm like their first lesbian or their first girl. So it's kind of weird, but I don't know. But how do you navigate those relationships with being the person that's bisexual? Like, because I haven't really judged bisexual people. I've always thought you like one more than the other, which isn't always the case. Like, you could 50-50. But what would you say to people that feel that way, that it is one way or the other? Like, it's, or tell people it's not a thing. Like,
so it's kind of like, if you think about other decisions you're making, like for example, if let's say you go to the grocery store, you get 5 different kinds of cereal. I don't know, you have Trix, or you have Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, or what are they called? Reese's Puffs? Yeah, Reese's Puffs. Trix, you know, all the other kinds. And one day you wake up and you're like, I want Trix today.
Yeah.
You know, and the next day you're like, oh, you know what? I actually want Cocoa Puffs today. So it kind of just differs. I would say some people can be 50-50, but for me, I think it just changes. Sometimes I'm more into men, sometimes I'm more into women. Gotcha. It kind of just depends on how I'm feeling. Like, kind of just the mood.
Yeah. I've never even thought about that. Like, sometimes I am only feeling men, or sometimes I am only feeling women. That makes complete sense. Yeah, whichever cereal brand you're waking up to, whichever one I want.
Exactly.
The same cup of milk, but you know,
exactly.
Whichever one. Yeah, that makes total sense for sure. So your relationships, your family. So you blocked half of your family on the Facebook, but was there other family members that you kept on there that you let them know your story, or? Yeah.
So the other half, which I believe is the more accepting half, they love me for who I was. They accepted me for who I was. They have supported me. They have been there for me. Mostly it is my cousins. The older generations, which is what I call my aunts, my uncles, or my grandpa, grandma, they don't support it. Like if they knew, they just try to pray it away for me. They'll try to, honestly probably put me somewhere. Like they are very, how do you say it? like just not accepting of it.
Yeah.
But like my cousin, I have a cousin named Anna. She was also very like that, but now she's kind of been having a change in faith and a change of this, and being able to really realize that love is just love. Like if I love a man, I actually love this man, or whatever. She doesn't see it as like I'm going to hell because I am bisexual. My other cousin actually, after I came out, she actually came out to me, and so I have felt like the only one for the longest,
right,
and the outsider. And so I'm actually very happy now that I know that another cousin of mine, is also queer. I'm also the very first one that had tattoos. Like,
okay,
I'm the very first one to get them because back then tattoos were just, or not back then, but in my family, tattoos were just so frowned upon as well. Like, why are you gonna mess up your temple, or why are you gonna,
Okay.
So they would bring up Christianity into it again, or my faith. I mean. But yeah, the other half has been very supportive, which is why I didn't block them, because I knew that they would understand or love me or accept me. So yeah.
So you said like your dad for sure doesn't know. What about your mother? Do you feel like did you tell your mom or?
Yeah, actually, I came out to my mom in a sense back in 2016. It was one day that my father and my mom had a issue. And she went to the store to go get something, and I remember just being in bed and just being like feeling like I'm being closed in, or feeling claustrophobic about my sexuality or the way that I felt about myself. That I decided to call her, and I said, "Where are you?" And she said, "I'm on my way home. I'm by the quick shop." I was like, "Okay, can you wait for me at the hill?" In Plainview, there's like this really big hill where people usually go to sled, whatever they do in the winter stuff. I don't go out in the winter, so I wouldn't know.
I don't blame you.
But so I told her to meet me there, and it was kind of like one of those movie moments because it was raining and it was cold, and I jumped in her car and I just hugged her, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, I don't understand how to tell you this. I don't know how to tell you this. I don't even know exactly what I am yet either. But then at that time I was how old was I? I was like 18, and I had my very first kind of relationship with a man, and I actually liked it. I ended up being like, wow, like I actually like this. I feel like love. I feel accepted, and so I finally just told my mom, I was like, I am bisexual. Like I like men. I like women. I was like, I know this is something that you don't know really much of, but that's just how I am. That's who I am, and I hope that you can accept me. And if not, I don't know what to do. So yeah, I just felt very closed, very claustrophobic, and it just felt so good to finally get it off my chest and tell someone, and especially my mom. Me and my mom are like best friends. Like, tell each other everything. I am there for her as much as she's there for me. Like, just love everywhere. So yeah, my mom knows. My siblings know as well. The only one that doesn't know it, apparently or supposedly, is my dad.
So what was your mom's reaction when you did tell her in that moment?
So she just hugged me. She actually started crying as well, which is for a different reason, which I will get into.
Yeah.
But started crying. She said she loved me. She said that it was okay, not to worry about it. Plot twist to a year later, my mom pulled me aside and she apologized to me. And I was like, I don't understand why. Like, what's going on? And then my mom was like, when you told me that you were bisexual, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to accept you. I knew I loved you because you were my son, but I didn't know how to be there for you in a sense, because I don't understand.
Yeah.
And so for a little bit, I kind of just distanced myself from you because I just didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to like I said, support you. And she said I had been a terrible mother about that, and I should have just been open about it. And I was like, it's okay. As much as it took me time to finally accept myself and love myself for who I was, and finally just say it, I didn't expect for you to just be like okay with it.
Right. Yeah.
I also expected you to also process through it, think about it, and also put your own feelings into it. I know that it is my own sexuality, and it's just for me. But as much as it is for me, like I feel like it also affects you or your life, and so I really just wanted you to also process it. And so now, I mean, fast forward to, well, like 6 years, 7 years, loves me, supports me as much as any mother would, I feel like. And yeah, it's been pretty good. I remember the very first interaction we had was at Dylan's, and it was around Thanksgiving. I went to Dylan's, and I was like, I asked this, I don't know, poultry guy, I guess is what they call him, or something.
The meat guy?
Yeah, the meat. Yeah, the meat guy. I was like, hey, do you have any extra chickens in the bag? Blah blah blah. Like, I'm not seeing them anywhere because we're not turkey people. We're chicken people. Okay. Turkey is just too much. It's too. If you cook it wrong, it's just too hard. So we're just chicken people. And so he went to the back, and my mom was like, oh my gosh, like he likes you because he's going to the back to look for chicken. And I was like, Mom, you are just being. You're just no. That's cool. Not it.
Yeah, but that's cool that your mom just like expressed that moment with you. Yeah. And that was the first time that she had did that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned two things that I think are very important to note that not everybody gets, and one was like you giving your mom, parent, whoever you tell, giving them that time to process. Mm-hmm. You just told them something because, like you said, we processed ourselves for so many years. Mm-hmm. With getting used to who we are. Yeah, exactly. And so we can't expect them to just be like, okay, this is what it is, get used to it, love it or hate it, which that's very true. And then like another thing that you said is like how your mom came back to you and just like had that conversation with you and was able to just like let you know really how she felt in that moment. I still haven't had a conversation with my mom like how she felt in the moment or after, like what her side of things was when I came out. So that was good that you had that conversation with your mom. And then even till this day, like you're cool with her. Just she's joking with you about it in the grocery store. And obviously she's kept that from your dad, and you guys have built even a better relationship from it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that 2 years ago my parents actually split up. You know, just due to I don't know what it was, but they split up. So they actually live separately now. Okay. So it's actually a lot easier because they don't really communicate anymore, which is fine. I feel like there's no need to communicate anymore if they don't feel like the need to do it either. And I feel like that also helped me with my relationship with my mom because me and my dad we really don't have the best relationship. Okay. We don't really click together. We don't really. Like my mom and me will like every single one of her birthdays, I take her out somewhere to eat. You know, I take her to get some dessert, get some drinks afterwards. With my dad, it's just like happy birthday, because like we just don't connect. Yeah. You know.
So you don't even like? Do you speak to him? Like, do you have any relationship with him?
I do now. So part of my childhood was, or most of it was also kind of negative because of my father, and so it's kind of taken me a while to also process through all of that and finally be able to pursue some sort of relationship with him. Right. So I do see him like once a month. He used to love when I made you know the little box cakes at Dylan's or Walmart, the little Betty Crocker cake mixes. So every winter he would have me go to Dylan's, get one of those, make it for him, and he just eat it with warm milk. And so this is like the first year that I just decided to do it on my own and just make him one and just go and take it to him. Because I feel like at the end of the day, he is my dad. I should try to have some sort of relationship with him. Yeah. At least give it a try because I can say that I gave it a try.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I mean now we're kind of okay. Slowly getting there.
Do you feel like you have to be a certain way around not just him but just like certain people? You said your demeanor. Does your demeanor change in certain groups and stuff? Like,
I would say yeah. With my dad, I have to be straight acting. Like, I have to like just not really be myself, even though there isn't really anything there's not really anything telling. I guess if that makes sense. And so it's kind of just really short conversation. There really isn't much depth to it. So I just have to just pretend, I guess, that I'm not queer.
You work in the corporate world, right?
I work at a bank.
Do you feel like you have to be straight like in those settings too? Like, is there certain aspects of that? Do you feel like that way?
No, not really. I feel like my job is pretty accepting. I've never really had to hide anything. The only thing I've had to hide was like my tattoos, just because it was like seen as non-professional. But they're pretty supportive. They have a whole group of like diversity or LGBTQ. Okay, I need to get that right. I don't want to offend anybody.
No, yeah, like I feel like when I have these guests come on, I'm not the only one, and you're not the only one that it's a big community, like, yeah. And there's so many more things that are coming to light that it's all so new to everybody. Like,
yeah, that is true.
So I feel like if we mess up, we apologize and like learn from it, and but yeah, LGBTQ plus.
Okay, LGBTQ plus. Sorry, on the record. I don't know.
All good.
But yeah, I feel like my job is pretty supportive, and I don't have to be straight acting with them. I can just be myself.
That's good. Yeah. Do you feel like there's any other spaces like on your day-to-day regular life that you have to be straight like?
To be quite honest, no. The only other times that I feel like I have to be would be like I said, meeting up with my father, talking to him, whatever. But also whenever there's like a family party and everyone's there, even the family that I blocked, which is really awkward, to be honest, because they're like, "You took me off social media." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
I never really told them.
Sorry, not sorry.
Excuse me. Exactly. So I will just have that awkward conversations with them of like, yeah, I'm sorry. I just, whatever. And so I have to be straight acting with them because they like that part of the family just does not accept any LGBTQ plus. Yes. Got it. So yeah, I think those are the only two scenarios I actually have to act straight in a sense, even though I don't know. Yes.
So what about your siblings? They know you said, how do they change towards you? Are they okay with your sexuality, or how's that like?
Yeah, no, they've been really supportive. They have never really been negative towards anything at all. They actually have their own friends that are now coming out as well. I mean, my siblings are still small, like, or I say younger. My brother is 16. And my sister is 12. But they're very supportive. They just love me for me, which I'm really happy for.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. What do you feel like has been the hardest transition for you when you came out?
I think the hardest transition for me would have been like, so like I said, going back to the whole church thing, having to go from church boy to like a worldly boy is what they would call them, or call us that were queer, or that were leaving the church for whatever reason, or were drinking, or were having tattoos. They were considered like the worldly people. And so I think going from having my faith and having a relationship with God since I was a kid up until I was like 20, like I think it was like 20 or 19 when I really actually left. And so I feel like that was the hardest, because it was like I didn't really feel the need to pray anymore. I didn't feel the need to like listen to Christian music, or like even try to pursue a relationship with God. And so it was very different, because it was now me having to discover a whole new person in a sense.
Yeah. And
so I think that was the hardest transition. I know it seems like it could be easy, but like I had a really good, I want to say I had a really good relationship with God back then, if that makes sense. And so yeah, I think that was the hardest for me.
Do you foresee yourself like building that relationship again with God?
I think I do. It's just kind of hard for me personally. I think a lot of people frown against it, I guess, or frown upon. Yeah, frown upon it. Yeah. So yes and no. I honestly just don't know. Yeah, but
that's fair. Do you feel like when you came out, did you get any hatred?
Did I get any hatred? I honestly want to say no. I want to say that I felt really supported. I felt loved. I had so many responses to it, you know, to my Snapchat and my Instagram, and I just had a lot of like, I love you for who you are,
Yeah.
and I don't really think I had any hatred. I did have those individuals that did block me. I mean, which is fine, you know, whatever. They have their own beliefs as much as I have my own, and so I guess maybe that could count as hatred, but at the same time I don't think so. I don't know. So
how did that make you feel like to get that negative? Did it bother you? Were you like, this is me, love me or hate me, or did
I think for a bit it kind of did bother me, just for like a little bit. I'm not gonna say it hurt me for a while or something, but I think it just hurt me a little bit just because like I had formed relationships with these people. I had formed a friendship. I had formed memories with them. You know, one of my best friends actually kind of distanced themselves from me until coming back like years later and be like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like I should have just been there for you. I should have accepted you. I should have just, you know, whatever. But like going back to the whole processing thing, like as much as it took me to process that, like I can't really hold it against anyone for also needing time to process it. You know, depending on whatever time it is or how long of a time frame it is. I'm sorry. So yes and no. I feel like no. Actually, no. I'm gonna go back to no.
Okay.
Because I don't think I got that much hatred or anything negative.
That's good. So do you feel? How is it like? Let me try this over. How is it like being a part of the LGBTQ and a Hispanic man? Do you feel like you faced a lot of barriers?
I think in the beginning I did. I feel like now in like today's age, people are becoming a little bit more accepting. But I feel like all the other generations, like the older generations, like my father or my grandpa or you know whoever's around that age, those people are sometimes still not accepting of us. And so I feel like that was kind of a tough barrier because, like I said, in my culture, supposedly we're supposed to be like the most manly men, and we're supposed to be providing for a woman, you know, not providing for a man. And so I feel like those were kind of my barriers, is having to break through so many generational, I don't know how to explain them, but basically
The beliefs and
yes, thank you. But yeah, I think that might have been like the toughest thing. But then once I started to accept myself for who I was and just being able to just learn different ways and just leaving those thoughts or those teachings in a sense in the past and just being able to move forward. So yeah.
now you said it's hard for you to like date in this world. You said being bisexual, but do you feel like if you do or when you do find a boyfriend that you will be comfortable enough to even bring them around your family?
Certain family, yeah. Like my cousins, definitely. My mom, my siblings, definitely. I think that there's gonna come a day where as much as it took me to accept for me being bisexual, I was like also just accept myself and not really truly care about what anyone has to say. Yeah. Not that I do now, but it's still like my family and my dad. Like one day I know that I will grow out of that and just be able to just be myself. And so I would say if I do get a boyfriend, I would be able to do that one day. Yeah. But I don't think it's anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah. So are you out dating? Like, what's your dating like? You said it's hard, but like, what is it like for you?
So it's kind of difficult because when I start dating someone, I start to get very invested in them. I like to make sure that they feel supported and feel heard and feel, you know, comfortable. And so for me, it kind of takes a little bit longer to be able to really date someone. I think, well, my last girlfriend was back when I was 24. Was it 24 or 23? It was actually like the month that I came out. I believe the beginning of that month we actually broke up, and so she did and didn't know that I was bisexual. I had told her that I had these feelings for men, and I kind of wanted to see what she would like, you know, take from it. and she seemed to be actually accepting of it.
Okay.
But right now, I'm not really dating. I feel like I have so much going on right now that I don't. I'm not dating.
Do you feel like that's something that you have to express to, like, to a woman, I'm bisexual? Do you feel like you owe them that to say that?
It's not that I feel like I owe it to them or to a man either. Yeah. It's just that if we're getting invested in each other, and you are starting to understand, or you're starting to know, like, what my favorite ice cream is, what my favorite meal is, or what my favorite movies are, or whatever, and I leave out one of the biggest things about myself, I feel like it was just a waste of time, because most of the time, or prior to that, I would get to know them, whatever, and then, like, let's say 2 months pass, and then I'll just say, oh, I'm bisexual. I forgot to tell you that, which didn't take me that long, but I'll tell them that, and they'll be like, oh, I don't agree with that, or I don't believe that, So I feel like I have to be upfront about it, because if I'm not, I'm just going to waste my time and waste their time. Yeah. And, I don't want to do that to anyone, so.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. I disclose everything, while you're at the beginning. That does make sense to tell them. I was just wondering, like, have you felt like sometimes you don't need to express that side, or? Yeah, but it does make sense, because, like, if you're watching a movie, it's like, oh, he's cute. Oh, she's cute. What? Well, I feel like gay dudes, they say, like, she's cute all the time, but, like, if you were like, oh, he's cute to your girlfriend, I feel like that would be, she would, like, be like, what? Or and I just feel like a lot of men don't express that self in general, with straight men. But you think some dudes are attractive. They just don't say it out loud. Like, you're definitely thinking, because people in general, like, I think dudes are attractive, but I'm not, like, sexually attracted to them. They're just like, oh, you're attractive, like, good looking man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I know we've all heard it before, but, like, just how I was explaining that whole thing about the cereals, and I feel like you hear, especially with bisexual men, like, sexuality is such a wide spectrum. Like, there's just so much. There's, let's just say leaning to the left is men, leaning to the right is woman. Like, there's just so much, and in between those, there's just in between. There's, like, people that are they them, or people that go in different or have different beliefs, or different but. Yeah, it's just such a spectrum that it's kind of weird, like you said, when men can find a man attractive but not say it. Yeah. But it's just like, I feel like they're just words. You're not acting upon that, Right. So, I will say that was one of my, I guess, like I said, biggest tells, is that I would be like, ooh, you're pretty attractive, and then my friends would be like, ew. Like boys, like, it was just weird. Yeah. So,
and little boys, like middle school, high school, they're ruthless. They are really mean. Like, it is very. You can tell very quickly if they're not with it or not, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you feel like you hung out with? What was, like, were you like that, trying to be that macho man growing up that your culture wanted you to be, or do you feel like you created your own lane growing up?
I think I created my own, because I know that the certain things that I was doing weren't macho men things. I didn't care.
What things do you...
So, for example, I feel like so many people stereotyped that men aren't supposed to, like, take care of their skin. I've been taking care of my face since I was like a kid. Like, I like to make sure it looks good, looks clean. I want to make sure I smell good. Make sure that I am looking, okay, as best as I can. And I remember when one of my cousins from the other side, when they actually came over one time and saw me, like, doing all this stuff to my face, they're like, "Oh, you're gay," and it's just like, I'm just taking care of my face. Yeah.
You should do it.
Right, exactly. You're looking crazy. I'm just kidding. But yeah, exactly. And so that was, like, something that people thought, or my family thought, was like, oh, you must be something else, Yeah. So, yeah.
So, was there any other things, like, today, men, I feel like, nowadays, like, they're getting the pedicures, they're getting the manicures, like masculine, the macho men are doing that now. So I feel like that's becoming a norm, which is really great. Like, take care of yourself. Like, you need to take care of yourself. Was there any other things that like you felt like you weren't being masculine enough?
I will say when I was about maybe like 9 or 10, my dad caught me several times playing with Barbies with my siblings or with my cousins, and he thought that that was the gayest thing ever. Like, men should not touch Barbies, you know, which is like such a huge thing, or such a like. I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a toy. But he thought that it was like the worst thing ever, and so he would like find them in my room and throw them away, or whatever. So I feel like that's another thing that my dad actually thought was like, he must be something else, and that's when he would like say like, my son will walk funny, and so
yeah. I don't feel like playing with toys or certain toys gonna make you less masculine when you grow up either. I feel like, and like I said, like today's age, it's becoming more known for like, I seen this meme going around a while ago, and it was like the cooking set or whatever, and it was like the cooking set for the little boy, and there was like, you want your son to know how to cook for his woman or partner, just like growing up. Like, the woman doesn't have to be in the kitchen 24/7. Like, the gender roles that are put upon kids at such a young age, like, I don't see the reason for that. My friends really don't like when I make comments like that, though, too. I'm like, why do we have to have all this pink because she's a girl? Like, why does it just have to be pink?
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really try to like go against the grain. I'm just like, but why? Like, there's so many other colors. Like, you can do anything. A color doesn't have to represent a gender.
Yeah, and that's very true. That's very, very true.
Like, clothes don't have to represent a gender.
Yeah, that's true. Going back to the color, I mean, I sometimes paint my nails.
Yeah.
And I remember I did it once in high school, and it was like, oh gosh, why are you doing that? You know? And it was just black. Yeah. And they were like, ooh, that's for girls. And I'm just like, bruh. Like, that's just, you know, I don't think that, like you said, wearing like traditionally women or girls' clothes is making you less masculine than what you are, you know, whatever. Or painting your nails is either. So yeah, that makes sense.
So you think like, did you ever paint your nails again after that?
Oh yeah, all the time. I paint them like whenever I just feel like it. Like last weekend, I was like, I'm gonna paint my nails this weekend. Yeah. You know, just paint on some random color or whatever. I think Halloween has really helped me actually be a little bit like push myself out of the comfort zone. Because this year I was actually 11 from Stranger Things. I don't know if you've seen that show.
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar.
You're missing out. It's so good. It's so good.
I didn't get on the Stranger Things train.
But they're in the first season. I think it's like the second episode. She's wearing a pink dress, and it goes down, and then she wears a blue bomber jacket, and she wears these knee-high socks, but I just wore them like kind of below the calf, and so I would have never been comfortable to do that because dresses are just for girls, you know.
Right.
And so Halloween has really helped me just express myself more and be able to paint my nails, or you know, like I would have never dyed my hair because my dad was always like, "That's for women. Okay. You just keep your natural hair color," you know. And so I just decided I'm just dye my hair. So I dyed my hair silver. You know, so I am doing things that my dad didn't approve of a man doing, or you know, and so I am now finally in that comfort zone of like, I can wear a dress if I want to, I can wear a skirt if I want to, you know, I can paint my nails, I can do my, you know, do my hair, so now I, you know, paint my nails on a random occasion, or it's a random day that I feel like painting my nails. So,
that's good that you're able to express yourself in that way. And you said like in high school was like the earliest memory that you remember like starting to express yourself.
Yeah, I would say high school. I would say early high school because I feel like I went through like a whole rebellious stage in like my sophomore year of high school where I was like jipping class and like smoking cigarettes and like doing just rebellious things to where I was like, I'm gonna paint my nails.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this because that's what a rebel does.
Yeah.
Or whatever, which is really lame for me, but yeah, I would say that. And then I, started becoming more closer to my faith and all, and I was like, I can't do that anymore, But yeah, I would say high school was like the first time that I was starting to express myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
So as an adult, 22, because you came out when like you're able to go to the clubs and stuff like that. Have you experienced a gay club?
I have. I will say I love Rain, but I mean Rain's a bar, but
Yeah.
I do love Rain, but it's just too crowded. I don't
Really?
Have you ever been to Rain?
I have, but it ain't been crowded.
Oh. Go like karaoke night or go during Halloween night. There's no space.
What's the crowd look like? Is it diverse?
Yeah, it's pretty diverse. I would say now it is. Back in the day, I don't feel like it really was that diverse. But now you have people of every like color or shape, sizes, or ethnicities or anything. And so or even sexualities. You just meet a little of everything, and I do like that. XY is a little wild for me. XY is like my last stop. Like I am already a little bit buzzed. I am ready to just have a good time, dance it out, and then just ready to go home.
Yeah.
So for me, XY is just like a 30-minute, maybe an hour stop. But yeah, experiencing.
That's
gosh, but yeah, no. XY is like my last stop. Dance it out. Oh, you know what I like to do? I like to get a Malibu bucket. Have you seen those?
On XY.
XY.
I haven't gone to XY too much. I mean, I have, but I don't like the music. So.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, pretty weird sometimes.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'd rather go to the straight clubs and get the music and the dance and the vibe than there and just stand there and be irritated that I'm listening to the techno all night.
That makes sense. Also, actually, funny thing about XY is there's so many more straight men and straight women that go.
Yes.
And I think it's also just because it's free.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like it's a way of people just finally being accepting of themselves and just being like, I can comment on a man if I'm a man, you know? And so...
I agree with that 100%. Like, I feel like, and straight girls go there because they don't want to get hit on by the dudes. They have taken over XY for sure, but I'll have to check out Rain because I haven't done that spot yet. When it comes to your relationships with men, are you protective? For the most part, you say?
Oh yeah, I would say I am. Of course, it comes with age, experience. It is very important to have safe sex. I always say, which my friend used to say too to me, is there's no party without balloons, which is the same thing as a condom.
Yeah.
And so
that's funny. That's a good one.
So always wrap it up. I would say that me personally, yes, I believe in condoms and other contraceptives. Yeah. And so yes, I would say that with my like whenever I have intimacy with a man, I am as safe as I can be. So yeah.
Did you learn about safe sex growing up, or who taught you that?
So of course it was my mom. My mom was like, if you're going to be out there having fun, make sure you're careful. Make sure that you are wrapping it up, is what she would say. But I would say it was a huge experience because when I was first, going or not going around, that sounds bad. Not going around. No, I mean like when I was first, having intimacy with a man or men, I would say it was a huge learning curve because there's so many men that are out there that are like, I don't wear condoms. It's only raw or nothing. I am clean. It's like the biggest thing that a man could say to another guy, and it's just like, are you? If you're on here, like, are you actually clean? Whatever. HIV status is I'm negative, you know. So it was a huge learning curve. I had to actually see through that. I had to find resources or find another way of learning about that. So one of the huge, I would say I got very educated on all this, going to Positive Directions here in Wichita.
Positive Directions?
Yeah, Positive Directions is a free HIV and STI testing place.
Okay.
Or, you know, what is it? Nonprofit or not for profit?
It's nonprofit.
Nonprofit? Okay. Yeah, so I mean, going there and like seeing all about PrEP, seeing all about condoms, seeing all about HIV, and like being able to have my questions answered was a huge part of me learning how to have safe sex as well. Yeah. And so I think that has been a huge help. I would say if you need to get tested or feel like you have to, I would go there. They're very supportive. Like I said, I learned a lot from them. So yeah.
Do you recall like learning about safe sex growing up?
I did learn. I feel like I did learn about safe sex, but it was different because it was just safe sex with women. And the only concern that I had, or the only concern that my mom expressed to me, was getting a girl pregnant. So it was very different. There was like, I feel like since my mom didn't really have like safe sex like talk, you know, growing up or whatever, and so for her it was just not me getting someone pregnant. And so having to learn that is one of the outcomes of me having sex, you know, unprotected sex. But also now that I am sleeping with men, another outcome is I could run risk of catching like HIV or catching chlamydia or gonorrhea or something. And so I did learn about it, but I only learned half of it, I would say. Yeah. And so yeah, growing up, I have been able to learn more about it. And yeah.
You recall ever seeing someone that identified as gay or lesbian, a part of the community growing up?
Growing up, I think one of like my high school teachers, there was like rumors of her being, you know, gay or being lesbian, and so I think that's like the only really like real thing that stands out. But I mean, before, like, I think I don't know, maybe it was just in high school when I started realizing that there was like a spectrum. Excuse me. And so, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't really think I had anyone that I knew was openly out or, you know, whatever.
Do you think you've seen like anyone on, like celebrity wise, like on the TV or anything like that, or was just your one teacher?
Wow. Oh, okay. I remember now. I remember I remember watching Teen Wolf growing up. I remember watching Teen Wolf, and I forgot what his name was. What was his name? I forgot what his name was, but he was basically just covering up that he was queer, or maybe he just didn't know. I don't really remember anymore. It's been a while. But I think his name was Colton in real life. Colton Hayes, maybe? I don't know, but halfway through the show, he came out. Okay. And he was now having an open relationship with a man. And I remember just thinking, like, man, I wish I could do that. Like, I wish I could be openly out there and just being like, I like who I like or what I like. So I think that's another one. I can't think of another one though.
What age was that?
Oh man, that was a long time ago. I think it was back in 2014, maybe 13. I could be wrong. Nobody quote me on that. But that means that I must have been like 13 or 14 as well. No, maybe 12.
But that was like the first age that you remember seeing someone that represented an LGBTQ character.
Yeah, I honestly want to say that's the only one. Until I, finally grew up more and started watching other shows, but I don't think I remember much of that.
Do you have a group of LGBTQ people that you hang out with?
I mean, it's kind of weird because now, like, in my friend group, you can't throw a rock without hitting a queer or LGBTQ like person. Like, we're all queer in some way, and it's just so, it's amazing because you feel the support, you feel the love, you just feel accepted for who you are, and I think that's very important to have, to just have a support, like a support group kind of sense. You're all friends, you all have different lives, different paths, but like, we all are like on the spectrum of sexuality, and so we can all respect every single one of our sexualities. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it's
That's
important
good.
to have some sort, or I think I do have a supportive group.
That
Of
is good.
friends.
Are they people of color too?
Yeah. I would say maybe 3 or 4 of us are. But yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I'm gonna need them to come on here too.
Yeah. I'll talk to them.
Yes. Need them to come join me. What would you tell someone? You were 22. So what would you tell someone that's 22, still struggling with their sexuality,
Mhm.
to help navigate their story, their situation?
It's kind of tough for this question, or for this, because we all have different lives.
Right.
We all
Yep.
have completely different lives. We all have, let's say, my family, like I said, half is supportive, half is not. The other half, maybe somebody else's is fully supportive, and the other one is just like, no, you can't do that. But I would say, just take your time. Really learn to love yourself. Really learn to accept yourself, and I really just focus on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I wasn't focusing in enough on my sexuality or who I was as a person growing up, until I finally sit down, and finally sat down with myself and really thought about who I was. And so I really would say, just take the time, really accept it, love it. One of the other things is have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I would say have fun with it, just because you don't have to like stick to the norms of everything. Dress how you want to dress, do whatever you want to do with your hair, kind of thing. Just express yourself,
Yeah.
have fun, love yourself, and yeah, I think time is the most important one. So yeah, so I'll say,
For sure.
and someone loves you. Someone does love you, even though it may seem like no one does. Someone does.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a good message. Someone does love you. Like, there will be, and it might not be a family member.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a friend, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
even family friend situation.
Yeah.
But there is one person that will bring you in for sure. I believe that.
Yeah.
All right. That's all the questions that I have for you. I appreciate you coming on here and being vulnerable and telling your story, especially not being out to everybody. It can be like a scary feeling, so I just appreciate you coming on here. Is there anything that you would like to tell the people watching and listening to this podcast today?
Man, I know everybody hears it. Like, everyone's heard it at least once, but have fun. You only live once, and just love who you love. Love what you love, and yeah. Also, I would say I do appreciate you having me on here.
For sure.
And offering like a safe space for me to be able to share that. I don't honestly think that I've sat down with someone and actually told them my story.
Awesome.
And so I do appreciate this a lot. But yeah, thank you for having me. Thanks. It was good meeting you guys. What is it? Queen
Talk.
Queen Talk.
Queen Talk.
Do you have a name for them?
Queen Talk is going to be the name of the podcast.
No, I mean like the listeners.
Oh, you know
Like
what?
Queen Talkians or something.
Ooh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Queenlings. I'm sorry, that's kind of weird.
I haven't even. You know, you do have to have the fans do have to have a name, but I haven't come up with a name. What do you guys want to call yourselves? I don't know. You guys tell me. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. Alrighty, thank you guys for tuning in to today's podcast. Please, if you have any questions, make sure you click the form. If you're interested in being one of the guests, please check out the form on the website, you guys. Family, friends, strangers, love. Be nice. Yay.